one person. I want to get more people in here. The story, before I start talking about the story, actually is written in the description. This is actually going to be really hard for me to do. Oh, if I tend to break down, I apologize. And that was pretty pathetic. One person, literally 2 seconds, you just, oh, nothing. All right, let me go watch something else. I'm literally asking for help. I've never done this before. I'm at my wits' ends here. Some of you might have noticed my Facebook post the other day. Thanks to a good friend of mine that kind of talked my head clear, at least. And just that depression sucks. This is not me joking around. This is not some game. I need help. I need, basically, like the title says, this is hashtag Justiceforbigherb. Yeah, this is definitely going to be hard. I didn't think this. Okay, I don't care if definitely going to be hard. I didn't think this. Okay, I don't care if I lose subscribers over this. I just need the help. All you have to do is share this video. And hopefully it will go into the right hands. And someone to help me. But like I said, in my description, it tells the whole story. I mean, basically, I could probably use that in court. So I see there's 2 people in there. I mean, it's 2 people listening. Hopefully it would help. Just going to get to the bottom of it. Okay. So some of you don't know, some of you do know. In August 2, oh man, this is hard to do. In August 2020, okay, August 6th, I was actually at work, and my wife calls me. I believe it was like 4 p.m., around 4 p.m. My wife calls me and says, your father's not responding. Your father's unresponsive. So I go ahead and call my boss, tell him what's going on, and trying to make fun of things here. I mean, for who he was and how he treated me, I was shocked that he actually cared. I raced from my job to my house to as they were taking my father away in a stretcher. I jump into the ambulance, and actually it wasn't even an ambulance. It was actually like I guess you would say like firing AMT. It was one of the fire truck ones. And he's literally he's still in his pajamas. He's still unresponsive. His eyes are barely open. I'm trying to keep my composure not to break down. I'm trying to talk to him, and to watch his eyes slowly shut. And that day, I really thought was it. So later on that day, they got him to be responsive, which was a good thing. And they said they were going to run tests on him. Now, my problem was, and I'll get to this more into the story, my problem was they did your basic blood test and just some neurology testing of the brain. So the next morning, I guess I take that back. Later on during that day, he actually goes back into that type of episode. So they hold him over. I guess he woke up like at 4 o'clock in the morning and didn't know what time it was. And he was kind of in the daze, not knowing what was going on. And I guess he asked the nurse, hey, can I get some coffee? My dad and his coffee. Yeah. So nurse tells him, like, sir, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And you would have to wait until the restaurant opens to get coffee. So meanwhile, all this is happening. We were actually moving into our new house that me and him bought, which I'm sitting in the office here in that house. So meanwhile, we're moving our stuff. The hospital, we're talking about Mountain View Hospital, is literally now at this point telling my wife that she needs to pick him up. He's fine. He's 100% fine. He wasn't fine. We couldn't do anything with him because we were already out of the other house. And this could have been another cause of what happened was the real estate agent of the buyer of an old house showed up unannounced. We were uninformed. There was no message, even though she sat there and said there was a message. There's proof. There's no message. She never messaged anyone that she was coming to look at the house. And she came in very rudely. I guess she was my wife has video of it. She came in very rudely. She was trying to actually physically open the door. She didn't knock, but she did knock afterwards. So I guess what happened was I think I kind of want to blame her because it kind of started it. That kind of made the domino effect. She walks in and immediately goes to my father and says, You're going to be out. You're going to be out, right? You're going to be out tomorrow morning. You're going to be out. And like I said, I guess my wife actually has video proof of this. Not many of you all know my father, but I do. And he panics very easily. So he stresses and starts just grabbing his stuff, taking his bedroom set apart and all this stuff. And I guess he strained himself. Whatever. My wife basically tells him, "What are you doing? You know, you're gonna hurt yourself." And the last word out of his mouth was, "Oh, I did." He went to bed. He always sleeps on a recliner. Everyone that knows my father always knows that he either sleeps on the couch or sleeps on a recliner, even though he had a bedroom. He went to bed, and that's when my wife found him the next day, called me, and that was that situation. So that gives you an idea. I don't know who to blame here. The stress, something happened. She caused whatever. I want to say 95% blame her for what has happened. But way back to, so the hospital basically says, "Here you go." Mind you, he had phenomenal insurance, health insurance. They could have kept him there for a month. They would have gotten paid. There was no excuse. When he left Mountain View Hospital, he had no paperwork in here. He had no follow-up. He had nothing. They brought him out in a wheelchair, and he could barely get out of the wheelchair into his own van. As you can tell now, I'm starting to get more serious because this is what's been bugging me for months. He got into the van. We all felt a different presence. He wasn't himself. My dad is 6'5". Who knows what he weighed? He was a big guy, just a big guy. The guy's a retired bodybuilder. And a big-time workaholic. But we knew something wasn't right because he was robust. He was, he was bossy. He was just, that was him. He was not like that. He acted, in my opinion, he acted like this little super nice old man. He was complete opposite. It was odd. He couldn't even, we gave him the room downstairs because it was easier for him. He was going to use the garage. He could use the garage. He could park his van in the garage, and then he could just go in the bottom door and not bother the kids or bother us, and he had the whole downstairs. He had his own apartment, and it was cozy. Now this is literally all happening. We're literally discussing this is all happening. It was August 8th, I believe, 2020, when we picked him up. Now, we were able to find out the diagnostic was hypothermia, which you would only get that if you jumped in ice water. You lived in Alaska. We're in Las Vegas. It was warm. And that should have been a red flag to the nurses and doctors at Mountain View right there. But all they do is ask, oh, was it cold in the house? No, it wasn't cold. And the man would sleep with like a super heavy blanket, even in the summer. Um, so that should have been a red flag. Why? Why would it be so cold? Blood circulation? It's very possible. Why wouldn't you test that? You do a basic blood test and just do neurology tests on his brain, but you don't test the fact that his heart. What's wrong? Something could be wrong with his heart. Who knows? But you don't test that because your other diagnosis is AMS, altered mental state. Well, when you do research on heart and artery and all that other stuff, I wonder how blood getting to your head. So if there wasn't enough blood getting to your head, don't you think that the brain test and everything else would have shown something negative? No. Oh, you need to pick him up. Pick him up. All right. So days go by. And I was lucky enough to physically talk to him because most of the time he just stayed in the room. He was quiet. Like I said, he wasn't right. He wasn't himself. And it just didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. He wasn't himself. We knew that. And it's really a shame that this wasn't clickbait. And I literally have one person watched a little, the other person just taken off. It's not clickbait, people. I'm trying to ask for help. And I feel like I'm just being ignored. I have no choice to go this route right now. I told my lawyer, I was like, look, I'm going to have to go to social media. You don't want to help? I'm going to go to social media. I'm going to get it out. Maybe the news will find out. Maybe the right person will find out. Maybe the right lawyer that has the, excuse my language, the balls to take it on. Anyway, back to, I'm getting into it. So I was lucky enough to actually talk to him. He struggled to make it up the stairs to talk to me. He sat on the couch and said to me, "Herb, he did the whole, he's like, Herb, look at this place. We did it. We did it." Like, you could see the happiness in his eyes. I've honestly never seen my father acting like super happy, like a little child in a candy store. He was so proud that we got this house. And then, of course, I continued to go to work every day. On August 12th, I get the phone call from my wife. "Hon, your dad has passed." At this point, I actually fall to the ground. One of my coworkers actually walk over to me and ask me if I was all right. And I told him, I was like, "Yeah, my father just passed." He tells me, he's like, "All right, Herb, you need to go home." So I call my boss. Once again, but the same, honestly, now that I think about it, the same monotone reaction, like cared, like he honestly cared, but it was the same monotone reaction. So I race here. Of course, I got to talk to Metro, talk to two officers. They ask me, what he does, just certain questions. I answer them. Then they release me. I walk down the sidewalk to my house. My wife's up the stairs. Now, my dad's area actually had a sliding door that you could go in and out of. He had a porch. He had it. It was really nice. He was so happy. He just had his own area. We had our own area. The house was perfect. Well, the sliding door was open. And my wife goes, well, before the coroner shows up, do you want to at least take a peek or say something? I step into the room from the sliding door, and he's laid out on his recliner. It wasn't too bad of a look. It was more like he was just sleeping uncomfortably, though. And he had, I don't know. I don't know what it was. I just put it as he had blood, like dry blood coming down from his nose, and that was it. He still had skin tone and the rest of his body, but his head was just pale. I only peeked in there for like 1 second, and I could totally give you full detail of what I saw. I peeked and just had to, and practically jumped out. I didn't want it. It sucks because I know that my kids and my wife had to deal with it before I did, and I know they said goodbye, but to me, he's already gone. You didn't physically get to say goodbye. I didn't physically get to say goodbye. The sad thing was he sat in his recliner for hours till the coroner finally showed up and took him away. She questioned me. She was like, would you want me to do an autopsy? I'm not thinking any foul play. I'm just thinking, okay, well, there's no need for that. Okay, well, we'll be taking him to, we're gonna try to diagnose cause of death, and we'll have him at Davis Funeral Home on Eastern. But he sat there. His lifeless body sat in his recliner for hours until they finally showed up. He didn't even get to enjoy this house. It was like 3.5 total days. 3.5 total fucking days. I had my daughter had to have her birthday. I had to have her birthday. We had to have Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas. For the first time without my father, their grandfather. All right, so we get the death certificate, and the death certificate says some arteriosis, cardiovascular disease. I in my description is the full wording of it. I did my research, and it was something 100% preventable if it was discovered. 100% preventable. He went to the hospital for something, and all you cared about was running tests on his brain. You did a basic blood test. I literally have a stack of everything they did. And me and my wife went through it all. I have a stack of everything they did. So whoever wants to take this case, I have the information. You don't have to get it. I have it. Mountain View Hospital only did basic tests, basic blood test. The only extreme, I want to say extreme test that are more than basic a test, what they did was neurology for the brain. And they didn't find nothing wrong. That which now gets me to the fact that how did he get delivered to the ER? He had no socks on. Didn't you look at his freaking ankles? His ankles. They're swollen. His feet are swollen. His ankles are swollen. They're black and blue. Isn't there some kind of circulation issue? But no, you want to look past that. That's what's not right. That is what takes me from being depressed to angry. You saw that he had no socks on. His freaking ankles and feet are swollen, black and blue. He's got circulation issues. Why didn't you test that? If you would have tested that, then you know what would have happened? You would have found out that he has something like artery in his arteries, which I find out later on that his younger brother actually had a younger brother or older. I'm not sure. One of his brothers had the same issue, was diagnosed, and they put stents in, and he's fine. He would have been dead if he didn't have it done and they didn't find it. But no, they only cared about running some few tests and throwing them at us. They had him there for one day. They wanted to throw them at us. They wanted them out. They didn't care. And I've done my research on Mountain View Hospital. They're not necessarily the best freaking hospital in the state of Nevada. Let's just leave it at that. But back to the point. The coroner says this is what he passed away with. The hospital says this is what he had. You have hyperthermia, and you didn't look further into it. Altered mental state. You went way beyond your means of looking into the altered mental state, but you didn't care about his heart. You didn't care about anything else. You sent him on his way. You actually had a whole day with him that you could have continued testing, and you didn't. You had no excuse not to continue testing because the fact is he had phenomenal health insurance that would have paid. You would have been paid. There was no excuse. You could have banked, but you chose not to. You decided to throw him out on the street. They told my wife that they would send him, if we didn't pick him up, they would send him on a bus and drop him off somewhere, and that would be it. Really? So you're going to just take a 64-year-old man, which, by the way, he was starting to get a little dementia. Some people noticed it. I really didn't. But you're going to take him and just dump him somewhere. Probably dump him. They were going to basically dump him at the old house. So what would have happened after that? Tell me, what would have happened after that? They would have dumped him at the old house. We no longer live there. We moved when he was in the hospital. They would have dumped him there. We would have never known where he was. So yeah, that would have sucked even more. But what I want everyone to do is take this video. I want it to be shared. I want the world to see this video. I needed to get to the right hands. That's why I told my lawyer, I'm going to social media for this, and that's it. If no one wants to help me, at least I'm going to use social media. I need everyone to share this and get it out. Get it out the world. Get it everywhere. I need help. I need justice for my father. And that's why I want to start this whole movement. #JusticeForBigHerb. And everyone that knows my father, that's what they called him, Big Herb. So please, I need this. I pray for this to go viral. Please, I really do. I pray for this to go viral. I'll gladly talk to the media. I'll gladly do whatever it takes to gain justice because my father would have still been alive if they did their job. All they had to do was run a couple more tests. 2, 3 more tests. But they chose not to. They decided, oh, well, if you don't pick them up, we're going to dump them at the house, which we didn't even freaking live at. Look, all I ask is for whoever's watching this, please share it. I would love for it to go viral because from what I researched, there's been a number of people that have been affected by Mountain View Hospital, and maybe we could do something about it. All I know is I want justice for my father, my kid's grandfather. I sit here in this room almost every day. I barely get out. I used to actually, not used. My father wasn't computer savvy, plain and simple. I won't get personal. There was a reason why. I ran his finances, pretty much ran his finances. I took care of his bills. I even set up his life insurance. For years, he told me, boy, you make sure that you put that select amount for the life insurance if I pass away. So I did. I had to go through a lot of loopholes with TriNet and MetLife. And MetLife, it doesn't have a clean past as it is. So we finally get things done. I tell them this is what happened. They say, okay, fax us the death certificate. So we fax them the death certificate, and I think it was like a week and a half later, you get confirmation, okay, well, his death was considered natural. This is all you get. Now, this leads into the problem. When you go on TriNet's or Accord website and you set up the life insurance, you select the life insurance. There's no small print. Absolutely no small print saying that it has to be accidental to get this said amount. In my case, I still say it was accidental because Mountain View Hospital should have tested. They should have tested. So I start talking about this, and then I drop 2 people. That's real great. So, long story short, they said this is what you're getting. Mind you, in my head, I was thinking I was getting a certain amount. I got a lot on my mind. I kept working. And my boss just happened to call me over. Like I said, I had a lot on my mind. I mean, shoot. I lost my cousin in 2016. He was more than my cousin. And I lose my father. I had a lot on my mind because I'm thinking bills. How am I going to take care of the house? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? But all in my mind, I also had that I was getting a certain amount of money. But if everyone knew who my boss was, he was, and I'll say it on media if he sees it or not, you are a bully. You are. You talk down to everyone else, and you think you're entitled to do so. He made that face that I knew that he was going to get upset. I lost it, and I just lost it. I just yelled at him and said, don't you do it, don't you do it. And he looks at me. He's stunned because normally I'm always, excuse my language, kissing his ass. And he's looking at me shocked, like, Herb, what? I was like, no, I'm sorry, sir. I have a lot on my mind. The last words out of his mouth made my decision. So he tells me, Herb, and puts his hand up. We all have a lot on our minds. Oh, okay. All right. And it didn't take me that long to figure that out. Then I started thinking about it. We have a lot on our minds. Both of his parents are alive. My mom's in North Carolina. My dad just passed. I have nobody to help me. I got to worry about my kids. I got to worry about this mortgage on a house that me and him bought. But meanwhile, both of your parents are still alive. You make, I'm just going to round it off. You make $45,000 every 3 weeks or so at one dealership. I wish I made that money too. And just sitting in my car and watching my employees for 8 hours a day. I'm doing absolutely nothing besides talking on the phone. And then, of course, saying and showing my employees that, oh, well, I don't do nothing. I'm on the phone all the time. Okay, good for you. Good for you. I was really actually starting to like him, and he just ruined it. It was 4.5 years of my life ruined. Just erased. Anyway, I'm going off topic, and I don't want this to be a long video. I just want justice for my father. That's all I ask. I can't say. Last night I couldn't even freaking sleep because I was sitting there thinking. I was embarrassed to do this video. But it is also friggin' showing me that I've had one person watching this video the whole time. Two have one shown up, one gone, another one showed up and gone. So obviously I'm not that important. I don't blame you. I don't blame you all to think I'm not important. Most of you probably thought, oh, this is clickbait, but it wasn't. I said it in the beginning. I don't care if I lose subscribers over this. This is for my father. I'm standing up for my father, my kid's grandfather. I'll do anything. And if anyone thinks this is just some kind of grab thing or whatever, I could care less about money. At this point, I could care less about money. I want justice for my father. Either from either cause. If the real estate agent caused this, that's on her. Mountain View Hospital, if they caused it, it's on them. I just want the help. And you know when you hit rock bottom. A couple of nights ago, my wife literally comes to me and says, hey, we're going to have to sell this house. We're going to have to just take the profit and just walk away, get a lease. I don't have a job because of this. I thought everything was set. Whatever money I had, I invested into a flip. Which I didn't profit off of. I'm just waiting to get that money back. Try to keep her happy. Because that was her dream, the flip. And yes, it will continue. And hopefully later on down the road, it will flourish even more. It's just that this previous flip was a learning process. Uh, Look, I'll say it once again. I'll say it again and again. All I ask is for this video to be shared around the world. Hopefully, it will get to the right person that could help me. That's all I ask. I want justice for my father, and I'm pretty sure my family members will back me up on that as well. I'm pretty sure some of them are going to see this video, and they're going to be upset, and they'll probably help me. But I mean, like I said, I'll take anything right now. I'll take any type of help. But to share this video is the big thing. Some of you know how it feels to lose someone, but you were living your life. Me and my father decided to put our money together and buy this house, which neither one of us could afford, just so the kids could have a beautiful roof over their head. He's gone. Even if if I had still kept my job, it wouldn't have been enough to pay for this place. Just plain and simple. A long story short, I'm sorry to waste your time, because that's what it seems like. So many people. Probably like a total of 3 people that just viewed this, and that's it. It was shared on Twitter. It was shared on Facebook. And I'm not going to go any longer. I hope it works. I hope someone could help. Like I said, I just want justice for my father. That's all I care about.